What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be reviving an old series that I started here on my channel about 3 years ago now, and it's talking about a specific underrated brand, going through their origin story, how they got started, if there have been any scandals with the brand, and then jumping into some of my favorite products. So today we're going to be talking about STILA Cosmetics, but if there are other brands that you'd like to see in this series, be sure to leave them down in the description box, especially if they're ones that just don't get a lot of hype or attention. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the origin of the brand first. So STILA was started in 1994 by celebrity makeup artist Janine Lobel. There's been a little bit of confusion over the years as to what the name STILA actually means. I've read two different things in different places. I had seen the company at one point say that STILA is derived from the Italian word stilare, which means to pen or to draw or draft up. And then Janine herself had actually mentioned during an interview in Into the Gloss that we, quote, just kind of made up the name STILA. It sort of sounds like still in Swedish, which means style. So I feel like both names could kind of go with the brand, but there is definitely some confusion on what the name actually means. So Janine was born in Sweden to parents who were originally from Queens, New York. She grew up in Stockholm, and as a teenager, she got really into makeup. In high school, her best friend decided to go to makeup school in London, so she decided to go too. After school, she moved to LA and landed a job to do makeup for the movie Hairspray. Her big break was doing makeup for a Vanity Fair cover shoot with Natalie Portman and Cate Blanchett. After that, she got to work with Julianne Moore, Charlize Theron, and Jennifer Lopez, and her career was really taking off. In 1994, she and a friend came up with the idea to create a makeup brand, and STILA was born. Her friend had wanted to do private label, but Janine really wanted to create the products from scratch, so she began the process of looking for a lab. Unfortunately, it was really hard to find anyone willing to make small quantities of product that their budget allowed, but finally it happened, and she took samples over to Barney's. They absolutely loved the line, and soon afterwards they were also picked up by Nordstrom, Saks, and Sephora. She said in an interview with Yahoo, there was a lot of creativity to come out of the line. We weren't doing chunky sparkle, it was about shimmer and shine. Every lipstick color has its own formula. It would be the perfect formula for that particular color. People freaked out over our eyeshadows, and that was because before, if you say created a plum shimmery eyeshadow, they would use a plum matte and blend in a plum sparkle. But for STILA, I would physically go to the lab and blend the plum matte with khaki, plum, and gold sparkle, which would add more dimension. So one of the things that really set STILA apart back in the 90s is that they had this really cool vintage vibe. At the time, Janine thought that plastic lipstick tubes were ugly, so she told Into the Gloss that she had this thought, what about using paper? In the old days, the lipstick tubes used to be paper, the blush came in paper, so I was like, why can't I just do that? So she ended up finding a man in Ohio that made cardboard mailing tubes, and she just had him shrink those down into a lipstick size. So they really had a vintage vibe that was different than a lot of other brands that were on the market at the time. One of the products that I vividly remember from the 90s were those little lip glosses that came in aluminum tubes. They were recyclable, and they were just so different from anything. That was actually the first product I ever purchased, either from STILA or at a Sephora. At the time, we didn't have Sephoras here in the suburbs. You had to go to the city. So in the late 90s, I remember reading about Sephora in magazines, and I convinced my boyfriend to hop on the train with me and take the hour ride into New York City so that I could finally see a Sephora. I think this was around 1998 or 99. I remember so clearly heading right for the STILA display and picking out one of those little lip gloss tubes and putting it on the train on the way home. I was so excited to have one because it was just one of the most popular products at the time that was popping up in all of the fashion magazines. So I personally have a lot of memories associated with STILA as a brand. Another fun fact has to do with their lip glaze. This is another really iconic product. So this was originally created for Cameron Diaz on the set of Charlie's Angels. And Cameron even helped to name the first three shades, raspberry, grape, and strawberry, which is so cool. I had no idea about that until I just read it doing research for this video. Another thing that I came across while doing research is that their Stay All Day liquid eyeliner is the most pinned eyeliner of all time on Pinterest. So that one also is a classic. You're going to hear about that a little bit later on in the video. Janine also told Into the Gloss during that interview that they were the first company to make a lip and cheek cream that you could use for both. So she said, "We also invented a lot of things like the lip glazes. We were the first to do the cream blush in those little fun compacts for lips and cheeks." Another cult classic that really took off in popularity were their smudge pots. They used to come in a bunch of different colors. Now I can only find them in black on their website, but these were really fun cream gel eyeliners that you could even just smudge all over your lid. I remember using the purple one specifically all over my lid just as a cream shadow, and they were also incredible eyeliners. Again, you can still get the black one, but it's not as much fun to use as an all over eye color. And at one point, the smudge pots inspired a lip and cheek pot as well, and I am so sad that those are no longer around because I thought they were an amazing product. They were so long lasting and budge proof, so I'm hoping that at one point maybe they'll revive those. So in 1999, after Stila had only been around for 5 years but were just skyrocketing in popularity, Leonard Lauder of Estee Lauder had decided to meet with Janine. And in an interview, she said that she had no intention of selling Stila at the time. She said, "I didn't think it was worth enough to sell at the time, so it was more just like, when else am I going to meet Leonard Lauder?" She said that they met at the Bel Air Hotel, and Lauder asked her a bunch of questions about her business, and a week later the sale was made. She said it was a Friday, and Lauder said, "I don't care what she wants, give it to her." So the brand was purchased by Estee Lauder in 1999, and then in 2006 it was sold to another company called Sun Capital Partners, and then in 2009 it was sold again to another company called Patriarch Partners, which is a private equity firm, and it's owned by Lynn Tilton. So she became the CEO of Stila during that time. And at the time I'm making this video, Lynn is actually in a court battle. She was ousted as the CEO, and I'm not 100% sure on all of the ins and outs of the court case because every article I tried to read is behind a paywall, but it seems like she's trying to recoup $22 million from the brand. So if you have access to legal websites, you can certainly read about that. But meanwhile, Janine Lobel, Stila's original founder, has started a new brand called Neen. So that is her nickname. Neen is short for Janine. I had never heard of this brand before, but I found them over at Nordstrom, and I think it looks like such a cute vibe. It reminds me a lot of classic Stila. It's not a huge brand with a lot of SKUs, but they're definitely piquing my interest. So I'd love to hear from any of you. If you've tried something from the brand, let us know down in the comment section. So as a brand, is Stila cruelty-free? Yes, they are. According to Cruelty Free Kitty, they are cruelty-free in 2024. At one point, they were not when they were owned by Estee Lauder, even though Stila as a brand did not test on animals. For a while there, they couldn't really be considered cruelty-free, but now they're back to their original status, which is great. Moving on to scandals, I feel like Stila has been relatively free of scandals in the 30 years that they've been in business, so that's a good thing, but there was one incident in 2019 that I quickly wanted to talk about. At the time, they had released their Little White Lies collection, and Temptalia had posted about it over on her blog, showing some swatches that she had gotten from the brand. They had some new shades of their iconic liquid eyeshadows, and in the photos that they had shot, you can see that there are two different models with different skin tones, and upon closer inspection, people started to notice that they were basically the same person. They had the exact same eyebrows, the eye product itself looked exactly the same on both models' eyes, so it really looked as though they had just taken the first model and then darkened her skin underneath. So here's what Temptalia had to say on her blog about it. It's bad enough that the actual swatch on the eye appears to be the same photo, just digitally altered to change the color from photo to photo, which effectively nullifies the usefulness of the swatches to begin with, but not bothering to hire a second model. This is Stila. This is a brand that's been around a long time and is sold in major retailers like Ulta and Sephora. Little White Lies collection, seems appropriately well named. So after all of this came out, STILA did issue an apology. They said, "We apologize that an unapproved image which was not reflective of the brand or collection was recently featured. It was a creative mistake and we acknowledge it was a mistake on our part and it should not have happened. The final campaign did include 2 models, images from the photo shoot above, which is what should have been released. Over the next few days, we will be sharing a full range of images for the campaign that truly reflect what we stand for. As a brand, we support all ethnicities and skin tones to celebrate individual beauty and apologize if our creative was not representative as such." And as far as I know, there haven't been any issues since that time. I think STILA relatively remains a very unproblematic brand. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into some of my favorite products from this brand. These are things that I really truly believe deserve more hype. I think at one point in time, they were super popular, and as always seems to happen in the beauty world, things tend to fall off in favor of new and exciting products. So the first thing I want to talk about is probably my absolute favorite thing from the line, and that's their convertible color. So this is the product that Janine was talking about in that interview. So this is a cream blush. This is also one of the very first products I ever purchased from a Sephora, going way back into the 90s. And this shade Lilium in particular is my #1 favorite. I love this color so much. It's really just the perfect kind of dusty nude pink shade. It goes really well with my skin tone. It's just beautiful. I also have 2 other shades, Petunia, which I'm wearing in the video today, and Peony as well, which is like a really pretty dusty rose. And what I love about this formula is that it has a nice amount of hydration as it's going on. It doesn't look dry on your skin, and it also has a little bit of grip. So I find that it really sinks in and grabs hold of your skin, and it lasts the entire day. Yet at the same time, it also dries down to a powder finish, so you're not left with sticky cheeks throughout the day. I don't generally use these on my lips only because they do have that really complete dry down, and they can kind of make my lips feel a little bit on the drier side, which they naturally are anyway. So I much prefer to use a gloss or something a little bit more moisturizing for lips, but I think as far as cream blushes go, these are one of my #1 favorites. Another iconic STILA product that I think has been duped so many times, but I still like the original one the best, are their liquid eyeshadows. So I have 2 different versions, and I believe they have even more out in the stores, but I have their Shimmer and Glow, which are not as glittery as they are shiny. They have a beautiful metallic finish, and the colors that they come in are stunning. There's a huge range of shades, and they look really flattering on the eye because they don't have a ton of glitter. They don't enhance texture as much as some of the other shadows in the line do. So these are the best if you want a more subtle eye look. And then if you really want to amp things up, kind of like I'm doing today, I have the Glisten and Glow, which definitely has a little bit more glitter. These have almost like a multi-chrome shift to them. They're so beautiful. I'm wearing the shade Brook in the video today, which has the most gorgeous purple sheen. This is one of my absolute favorite shades. And these are so great because once they dry down, they do not budge. They don't crease on your eyes. They last the entire day. I don't have fallout with them. I can honestly say these are the best liquid eyeshadows on the market. I also like how versatile they are because I can either draw these right onto my lid and just kind of lightly pat them, and that gives you more of an intense look, or for a subtler look, you can just apply a little bit to your finger or to a brush and pat it on that way. So I think these are really versatile. Sometimes I've tried liquid eyeshadows that look okay when you put them on, and then when you go to pat them out, they start to get patchy or they lift up. These don't do that. They blend out so easily. So these are another product that I think STILA does better than anybody. And while we're talking about eyeshadow, I need to mention the iconic Kitten shade. So back when I worked at Sephora in the early 2000s, we had a ton of different eyeshadows from STILA. They had a huge range of singles, but now the only one that they've kept on their site is their most popular shade, Kitten. And this one, it truly is one of the best eyeshadows if you want to brighten up your face. It has the most gorgeous gleam. Let me just show you really quick. First of all, it is so soft and easy to pick up. And when you go to swatch it, it is the most beautiful, effortless eyeshadow. It's so dreamy. It's so smooth. It gives your eyes a ton of pop in just one swipe. And I love using this as just a one and done shadow, especially on those no makeup days. I just swipe Kitten on my lid with my finger, put some mascara on, and I'm good to go. It's the perfect champagne color that goes with everything. So this is another one that I literally never hear anybody talking about, but it is such an incredible one and done shadow. Earlier in the video, I mentioned their Stay All Day liquid liners, and honestly, these are some of the best. They really do stay in place all day, and the one that I have is their double-ended waterproof liquid eyeliner. So I have it in the shade dark brown, and I love this one because you have two different tips. You have one that's a little bit bigger and longer, and it gives you more of a dramatic liquid liner look. And then on the other side, you have a really tiny tip, which for me is the one that I tend to use on a daily basis, especially having hooded eyes. It's great because it draws a super, super thin line. You can get right up to your lashes with it. And this is also one of the smoothest liquid liners because it doesn't skip as you're drawing it. You don't have to keep going back over the line. It's just one and done. It's really smooth and it lasts the entire day. So this is one of my absolute favorites. Highly recommend checking this out. Also, if you're like me and you like a really subtle highlighter, definitely check out their Heaven's Hue highlighters. So I have mine in the shade Incandescence, which is a beautiful pink shade. It doesn't really come off as super pink on your cheeks though. It's very sheer and it has a putty-like texture that just gives you the slightest bit of glow. It's not going to be one of those highlighters that you can see from space. It's not loaded with glitter. It just gives your cheeks this tiny little bit of sheen, just a hint. And then the next product is one that I got really recently. This is their Blush and Bronze Blur Stick. So this has a blush on one side and a bronzer on the other. So I have mine in the shade Grapefruit and Caramel, which is perfect for fair to light skin tones. You have the bronzer on one side that's just slightly warm, but it's not overly orangey. And then the blush is the most gorgeous shade of pink that really does remind me of like the inside of a grapefruit. It's so pretty. And I love how soft and blendable this formula is. It's really more of a cream to powder. So while you have the convertible colors that have a little bit more dewiness to them as you put them on, this one feels completely dry. You can put this right over your foundation and blend it with no fear of moving the foundation underneath. And it really does seem to give your skin that blurred effect and just smooth over all the pores in your cheek area. So this is a product I haven't had for too long, but I really enjoy it a lot. And I also couldn't do a STILA video without mentioning the lip glazes. So these are the plumping lip glaze. I want to say they used to have a plumping version and a non-plumping version. I haven't seen the non-plumping version, so I'm not sure that they even make that one anymore. I have this one in two different shades, and these lip glosses are so pigmented. They're not really what you would expect when you go to put them on. They give you almost a lipstick level of coverage, while at the same time you get that beautiful shine of a gloss. They have a little bit of a tingle, but it's not a burning or stinging. It just feels a little bit cooling on your lips. So it's very comfortable to wear. They do have a little bit of stickiness to them, so you have to like a more sticky lip gloss, but I find that those are the ones that just stay on the best. So in the video today, I'm wearing the shade Pieta, but I also have Patina, and that one is one of my favorites as well. These are really beautiful, cool toned options. So those are my top products from STILA, but if there's anything I didn't mention that you think I should try, that's your favorite, let us know down in the comments below. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video and learned some things about STILA. I know I did as I was researching. So if you enjoyed this, I hope you'll consider hitting the subscribe button before you go. And I just want to take a minute to thank all of you so much who took time out of your day to watch this video. I truly appreciate it. If you have some extra time and you'd like to watch another one of my videos, I'll just put something right up here that you could check out next. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Bye.